so hard not to.
I'm just, yay, and we're live on Facebook as well.
Ooh, hello, everyone. We did dance
Yay!
today, Julia. You said earlier we were gonna share something about our dancing, but we didn't actually dance today. We didn't have time. I was
Didn't
too
have time to dance because we were both
late.
ratting about.
Yeah, we were. Well, I
That's
was.
what happened
Anyway, then we
there.
need to dance again. I miss it.
I know we need to do more dancing, and what we should do probably is one day we should
You
actually.
play the piano. I do the dancing, and you play. Get some jazzy tunes.
I can't play it well enough yet, but look, it's just there
Well, it's there to
in
remind
my
you.
office.
It
On
will
piano.
come. It will
If
come.
I could just go over here, do a little
You
song.
could, hey, here's the thing. You could learn a really nice jingle thingy my bob, and then we can always start our lives with that rather than us.
Yes,
How is that?
we could.
Well,
Anyway,
let's start with live music from Junior Hawkins, the one and only.
exactly. Right.
Come
So I
on.
can see there are people watching.
Oh, people.
Ah,
Hello, people.
could you drop us a comment?
Let us know.
Alison's here from
Hey.
Shropshire. Whereabouts in
Hi, Alice.
Shropshire are you, Alison? I'm sort of Staffordshire, Cheshire, so not far. Hi, Iris. So yeah, we got people
Glad you guys are
watching.
here.
And do you know the great thing about the live today is that it's all about you guys. All about you guys. So we felt
Yep.
that we worry so much about our dogs, rightly, and this is totally related, but we're looking from you. So Alison, you're Ludlow, which is a beautiful part of the world, but totally the other end of Shropshire from my side. Hi, Kim from Canada. Hi, Katrina for a short time. Kirsten in Texas. Fabulous. And LJ. Hello,
And
LJ.
Noah. And Noah. And
Hmm?
Noah. Noah, can you see him?
Hey,
Hello.
Noah. Hello, big lads.
My boy, why is everybody biting now? What's going on?
He's helping.
Yeah,
You could just hear the excitement, so he's joining in.
puppy's barking too.
Must be
Uh,
something afoot,
oh,
something
they're
going
around.
on.
I brought Stevie in on the lead, and Falke's lead is also around.
So, if you are
And
watching
Paul. And
and
Paul.
you know of somebody that you think should be here and they're not, could you just tag them in the comments so that they get a little notification and they can pop in? Because it's annoying when you miss something like this, isn't it? And can you pop in the comments what fruit should we go for? A I want to say mango, but I'm thinking that might be quite hard to find. Could you put
Mango? No, why?
I don't know. Do they look specific enough? Put a fruit of your choice in the comments if you have bought a copy of our planner.
Oh, yeah, the planner.
Let's see who's got them.
Yes. Oh, man. I think the planner would have been worth a pineapple, but anyway.
You think a pineapple for a planner? That
No, it's
actually
okay. You just, any fruit's good. Tomatoes. Oh,
cherries, yay! Alison's blueberries,
yay.
Katrina,
That's so
strawberries, and cherries.
good.
Ah, brilliant.
Awesome. So I had, here we go. Here we go.
It's but we're looking from you. So Alison, you're Ludlow, which is what are you up to there, Barbara? Patricia's put an avocado, which of course is a fruit, isn't it? I love
Ooh.
avocados. Nicole, cherries, yay! Another one of our fabulous Reboot alumni, Nicole. We get the best boot groups of people in Reboot, you know. They're so cool. Right, should we get started?
So, what's our topic today, Julia?
Our topic today, it's all about you. It's not just about your dog, but a lot of what we do. And one of the things that actually we are really hot on and passionate about is that when you've got a reactive dog, it has a massive impact on the human end of the lead, and that matters. It matters a lot. So when we come to, working with people and what we want to do, it's about helping the human side as well as the dog side, because the two are inextricably linked, whether that's with a leash, or just mentally and emotionally. It's so super important that we do both because, of course,
Yes.
we know that our dogs are really empathetic creatures and they pick up on how we feel a lot.
So here's a question for everyone.
Go
Have
on.
you ever felt like your dog is picking up on your stress? Specifically in like reactive situations, right? So for yes, give us a red apple, and for no, a lemon. Give us a red apple if you ever felt like your dog is picking up on your stress, and a lemon if you've never felt like that.
Red apple from Alison. We've got a watcher on YouTube as well, which is fabulous. And I was just wondering, can you put emojis? Can you put fruits in the comments in?
Sure, if you can do a comment, you can do an emoji. You might
You
have
thought
to.
so. Yeah. If we can't, you could just type it. So I am checking the YouTube peeps as well.
Oh my goodness, the feed's full
Red
of
apples everywhere.
Yeah, it's so true. So true. So I have another question, follow on from that. And this is because knowing this, have you ever avoided taking your dog out or somewhere because you didn't feel emotionally ready? So grapes for yes, cherries for no. Have you ever avoided doing something with your dog because you didn't feel emotionally ready? Actually, when I went to the training field today, I was supposed to be teaching, but I knew that the first class was super small and we have a trial coming up. It's long story. I took my own dogs, but it was a bit of a I hadn't really prepped, and something happened on the email, completely had nothing to do with dogs, but I felt a bit about something, and I had loaded the dogs and everything, but I had thoughts of maybe I should just abort mission.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really feel I was, present.
And you know, sometimes it's the best thing to do, isn't it? If you're not emotionally ready, don't put yourself. I mean, I don't know. I think I mentioned this walk before where I was taking the dogs out. My husband was supposed to be coming with me, but he was faffing around with something else. I was really annoyed. And it was raining. So I started off and I was grumpy. I was seriously grumpy, and I really shouldn't have gone because the dogs picked up, and especially, my big lad Dash, he picks up on everything, and he was just on eggshells the whole time. And it was because of how I was feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm also thinking about when Noah and Falcon last year, I think it was earlier this year, I can't remember now. They had a fight, and I wasn't really present, visitors.
Of course, yes, I
They were
remember.
totally distracted.
That was awful for you.
Lots of, and then, if in doubt, leave it out, like if you feel like I'm not up to this, there's no harm. There's no harm home or putting the dogs away, or, rather safety first, and rather than like pushing yourself. Sure, I had a good session with Stevie today. It was nice.
Girly.
But it's not like, the world wouldn't have ended if I had decided not to go.
Well, exactly.
Right.
Sometimes it's best, isn't it?
Mm.
So Demi's gone rogue. She's put a watermelon in. I love that, Demi. Brilliant. Now, LJ's put a really interesting comment, because I hope you don't mind me reading this out, LJ, but she struggles with PTSD and social anxiety, so avoids places where you aren't able to be alone or make a quick escape. So she always has several exit plans and is hypervigilant all the time. And here's the thing. When we've got a reactive dog, that there's part of that is how they feel. It's like, social anxiety. Some of them, especially, rescue dogs that have had horrible situations, they do have PTSD type of symptoms. So you can relate really well to how a reactive dog is feeling. And actually, if you think about how LJ is dealing with this and having these exit strategies for our dogs who may be feeling similar and who are quite, you know, socially anxious, like some people are, they need to know that you've got their back and you will find them an exit strategy if they need it. So I think that's a really, really interesting thing for us to consider.
You know, from a Buddhist perspective,
Yeah.
the Buddhahood, which is inherent in all human beings, in all, you know, in everything, but I mean, anyway, in our humanity, is something that manifests in many different ways, and it is always there, and there is you know, the trick to or one way of defining what is a Buddha, right, is actually it's somebody who can see potential in just about everything. And I actually think that a big part of LG, what makes you such a great dog owner and handler and the best person in the world for Buddha, anyway, is this, right? Is this something that may look like a challenge, you know, that could be construed as a negative thing? And I mean, look, I don't want to dismiss it or play it down or anything, but there is so much strength in that, in the fact that, you know, being able to relate, doing these things so you feel better, and then automatically that also help the dog. You guys make a fabulous team because of this.
Absolutely.
So
100%.
it's you know, it's part of your superpower energy. Really is. So there's always a way to reframe something, right? Anyway, let's leave it there. I don't want to talk myself into a corner. Anyway,
We've
but
got
there's
a few more really lovely comments actually.
Yeah. Let's go there. Let's have a look.
So Katrina books a field if she doesn't feel up to a walk, gives a break once a week. Great idea. I've got a field booked for tomorrow actually, so we can all just have we know there's going to be no stress, and we can all just have a lovely time. Patricia likes the abort the mission concept. It's not giving up, it's giving the dog your best in that moment.
Yes, absolutely.
Love that. Super.
There's no right and wrong, right? It's just a decision, and then you stick with it. Don't second guess.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And don't let that guilt, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? That guilt monster creep in. Start tapping you on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Because you're doing the right thing.
Somebody in Reboot said, the guilt, you know, is so big. You do the thing, you feel guilty because it might go pear-shaped. You feel guilty. You don't take the dog out, you don't do things with them, you feel guilty. They don't get enough ABC, right? So guilt is a big thing. But I think most parents, Julia, you're also a parent, you know, I think that, you know.
Oh yeah, everything you do is wrong.
Yeah. So
no matter what, it's the same with being a dog owner. Everything you do will be wrong.
You're taking care of that dog, you know, it's a responsibility, and a lot of the stuff just comes with this.
Exactly. Demi's learned that being present has to be a priority. Dodgy moments and episodes have always been linked to me being distracted. Yeah, I mean, you know, there's a really good point in there, but it's also important not to beat ourselves up about it because we're human, and it's exhausting being present all the time and being on it all the time, you know. It does happen. So, you know, being aware of that, massively powerful. But also if you do, you know, you're not as present as you want to be at some point, give yourself a little bit of leeway because it's just life.
And then LG made a comment saying, I used to count on my service dog, but Birdie isn't interested or suited for the job. So we've pivoted to meeting his needs over mine, and he is thriving.
That's
so Birdie is doing really well, which is absolutely wonderful, and I'm sure you get a lot of joy out of this. And look, I want to say, add something, and we don't have to go into this, LG. I don't want you to, feel, lay everything bare here. But food for thought is to, how much of this, or how has this enriched your life or limited your life? Because now not having the service dog that you can rely on, and instead a dog that you have to support. Are there ways in which you stronger because of this? I'm just saying, I mean, I don't know the first thing about what's going on, and I do not want to, these are real honest questions, and you do not have to answer them now. This is just food for thought, because often, because our relationships with our dogs in a way are like any relationship. And I know that when some people when we have difficult people in our lives, and that can be kind of like challenging, but inevitably that makes us grow. And while it can be challenging in the moment, there's a point in where we look back and say, well, actually, I can be grateful. Just like we all always say, be grateful for our reactive dogs because they taught us so much. But it can also go a little further, right? It's not just all the things we learn, but maybe we just have to pull up. If somebody doesn't like to speak to other people or doesn't want to speak up, I hate confrontations. Having to step up for my dog and stop another person from approaching, things like that. Having to say something, and I can feel so confrontational, and learning to do these things, those are actually, that in Buddhism we call it human revolution, right? It's like growing in ourselves. Anyway, it's just like a bit of a woo-woo. Remember when we had the interview for the festival with Susan Garrett? She said we should have a seminar just on woo-woo things, because
we did, didn't we? Yes, maybe we should.
Yeah. Anyway, Katrina says, Julia's mention of being a parent. Everyone is a parent for the first time, so don't be hard on your parents. Similarly, for the guardian of a reactive dog for the first time, don't let others blame you or blame yourself. Awesome, Katrina. Love that.
Right. Yeah. So right.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I lost the notes. So okay, so when we've talked about we know that emotions, our dog's emotions, our emotions, it's all linked. So what emotions come up for you when your dog overreacts in situations? And can I ask her like a two or one kind of question? So what emotions do come up for you, and then how do those emotions affect how you respond in that moment to your dog? What emotions come up? This is an open question, so you guys can just write in the comments what comes to mind. What emotions come up for you when your dog overreacts? Everyone has different scenarios where that happens. And how do these emotions affect your response? So I can share a little bit with Falcon. Some of his overreaction is, happens at home. It happens either in response to noises from the outside. So he might bark because there's going on. I mean, things have gone back. I think he used to bark all the time. He used to drive me nuts. And then also the way he would behave with Noah being like completely over the top with him, then it would be a bit of hurt, all these things. So, and because I was so protective of Noah, who was going through this whole recovery thing, it upset me quite a bit. So, I mean, anybody who's got lots of barking in a dog knows that I can work on your, fray your nerves. But, because of this thing with Noah, I would get doubly frustrated, of course, but also sometimes really angry with Falcon. And of course, frustration and anger aren't great states to be in. So the way I then responded to Falcon wasn't always the way that I want to be in relation to my dogs, right? So I could, I would not shout at him or anything, but like, you know, feel these emotions and then like go in and try to put in some management or, you know, take him
But you
inside
know
of
what,
it, but not
Barbara,
with a
even
nice feeling.
if you had shouted at him, again, it's one of those human responses, isn't it? And you know, you feel terrible about it if you do it. But it's kind of because you're on emotion. You almost can't help it. So it's about learning from it rather than worrying so much.
Yeah.
Charlotte, can I just quickly go through my my little roller coaster of feelings? Because you know, I think it was last week, wasn't it, when I was talked about that Dash had a reaction? Or was it 2 weeks ago because of all the water tankers and everything? And then we saw a dog and he went. And so, and this is kind of me after I've kind of obviously trained myself for me to react differently. Okay, but it's still a roller coaster. Because my first thing is, oh my God, what's he reacting for? He doesn't usually do this. What's happening? What's happening? And then I'm looking at the other person thinking, oh my goodness, what are they thinking? What are they thinking? Are they going to say something to somebody because they know that I'm a dog trainer? Are they going to tell somebody? And then it's like, no, keep it together. Keep it together. Gather yourself, gather your emotions, stay calm. Say something calm. So I said some calm things like, hey, sweets, it's okay, blah, 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 blah. And I actually had to talk myself down from that. And that's after even, you know, I'm a lot better than I was because I can remember before. I think probably a lot of people watching will totally relate to this. You get that reaction and you get that real visceral feeling, that deep in the pit of your stomach feeling of kind of horror, really, isn't it? Oh my God, what am I going to do? You go through all sorts of different scenarios of what might happen now. I did anyway. You know, your dog might escape and attack the other dog. I mean, I was fairly sure he wouldn't, but it's that real feeling. It's like a physical thing in the pit of your stomach. And it's interesting because do you remember when we were talking to at the festival, we were talking to Megan Barrett and we were talking about the vagus nerve, which is that connection between brain and gut. And that's why you get that when you've got that kind of fear, you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach because there's that physical connection between the two organs.
Yeah, I feel it now, hey, because it's evening tomorrow. First thing I have to drop now out at the bed.
Oh, I know. He'll be good. He'll be fine. Promise.
Anyway, so bunch of comments. Let's see.
Excellent. Let's go through those.
So first of all, Iris, that's a really good reminder from Iris. She says, when I feel guilty not having done a training session or cutting a walk short, I remind myself that Billy does not have a checklist marking me down. Love it.
Love that.
Just happy with whatever I offer. So true. It's so
Can you
true.
imagine? Our dogs are sitting there with a little notebook. Right,
Yeah.
she did that.
LG says that if someone offered to take Bodhi and give her a fully trained service dog, she'd say no. He's everything.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then Katrina says can be fear and then used to blame the dog, not now. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Teresa says she feels nervous, scared. I'm trying so hard to keep calm. And that can also be stressful, right? Trying really hard. Katrina says it can be so automatic to shout, yes, Katrina, thank you. You're totally right.
It really is, isn't it? Yeah. You don't, it's like we've talked before, haven't we, about that settle, disturb, react sequence. Yeah. When your dog's calm, then a thing happens, there's a little pause, and then they decide to react. And that pause gets shorter and shorter. But it's the same with us as well. And for some of us, that moment between our dog reacting and then us reacting to our dog reacting is so small that our brains don't have time to engage. And that's why we have to practice a response.
Oh, yeah, totally. Kirsten says, I feel bad for him having such big feelings. Always hope one day he has a better life.
Oh,
Bodhi feels, no,
Heartbreaking.
not Bodhi. LG feels no longer guilty or overwhelmed. Now she gets curious, looks at his information, and she makes a plan. Perfect. Alison shares emotions, disappointment, worry, anxiety, embarrassment, panicky, upset. Respond,
Yes.
rush too much, sometimes attempt to pull away from a trigger. Apologies if people involved. Love it,
Yes.
Alison. This is brilliant.
Yes.
And I like that bit about rushing. So true, so true.
Yes.
Yeah. And she says, yeah, like a block of ice in your chest.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And
I
how
didn't.
many of us have, when the dog's had a reaction, like you said, Alison, you just rush. It's like, right, I'm going home, which quite often is actually a good thing to do. You kind of want to start the reset as quickly as you can, but you don't want to rush it because that just increases everything and the stress building. Anyway, but how many times have we rushed to go home, close the door, floods of tears? That's me usually. The just letting, because it's so emotional.
Yeah, and you get frazzled, right? Like
Yeah.
even rushing, like in the moment, even if it's not trying to get away or anything, but it's just like,
Yeah,
treats
Teresa's with
everywhere,
me.
drop this, you drop that. It's so normal, right? It's just we get frazzled. Mm. Iris says, I used to get very upset, especially if people commented, going over things in my mind over and again, trying to work out where I had gone wrong, why the hell he would behave like this. Now it's more like, oh, not again. As we walk on, he's like, okay,
Yeah,
cool. That's really cool.
100%.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, Patricia says reactivity leads to embarrassment and a knockoff of me into judging myself and my dogs.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. And what's great is like just being here, we know that we're all feeling the same way. So it kind of takes away a little bit from that, oh my gosh, I stick out like a sore thumb, I'm just an idiot. You're not. You're part of a community that are all having the same challenges
Yeah.
with your dogs. And it's, it's not because you're a terrible owner. On the contrary, usually when you've had a reactive dog, you become a far better owner. Oh dear.
So there's an interesting question from Demi. Can you see it?
Yeah, contagious energy. Can I ask what people think of the significance of this? I know it's a huge thing, but I'm beginning to realize it's bigger than I can possibly understand. Is Vegas response transferable as much as I think it is? I can't give you a definitive answer to that because I haven't researched it, and I'm just thinking, I'm not sure that there is a lot of research on it other than, informal observational stuff. But what we do know is, but again, there's not like proper, geek research on this particularly. But we do know that our dogs will pick up on how we feel. But I think you could be right. I think it's huge.
I
I
think
really do.
there have been studies on that, how the owner's
That they're
emotions,
picking up, yeah, and
but
particularly on facial expression and that kind of thing. But
I don't know what exactly Demi means by the Vegas response being transferable.
yes,
No, I don't know. So
yeah,
the thing is that because the dogs have this incredible ability to smell,
they can smell.
and they literally smell our stress and our fear.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
In different ways. I mean, I know that we can also smell, like, oh my goodness. But it's beyond this. It's
Love
beyond
it.
this. They can smell body chemistry that we cannot smell, right? They have a special ability. They have a special organ and they have a special ability to smell pheromones and things that go on in the body. And
Demi's just put another comment on. So what she's saying is when the adrenaline kicks in, theirs does too, because of me rather than any triggers. And this links exactly to what Barbara's just been saying. because when you get the adrenaline and cortisol into your bloodstream, it changes your scent. The dog will pick up on that 100%, and that can be a trigger. And that's why we were talking service dogs, but you could get service dogs for all sorts of medical conditions like epilepsy and that kind of thing. And they pick up on a change in the body chemistry before something like a fit might happen. And that's how it works, because this amazing sense of smell that they've got. So yeah, absolutely.
So there is that. And then Kirsten, another aspect, which is also a really good point. We currently have a lot of stress in our household, and Ramsey really picked up on the stress, and I see a behavior change in him. Yeah, you see, that's the thing. It's all part of that. I don't want to say it all goes into the dog's bucket. I just like that phrasing because it's so all encompassing. You could say that Demi, like the fact that the dog can smell, I don't know if they smell the adrenaline, but that they smell that you get stressed, that is a trigger, just like seeing a dog is a trigger. You could say that, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But but sometimes things are yeah. And then also if there's stuff going on at home, we often talk about it as candles. I don't know if you need to talk it, if trigger is always the right word, but it's stuff that happens and that contributes to the overall stress picture for the dog, or that goes into the bucket. And that can be excitement. We've often talked about it. It can be positive. It doesn't always have to be upsetting, but of course it is doubly filling if it is also upsetting, because if the dog doesn't feel safe. So yeah, arousal is also stressful, but if there is a feeling of not being safe, and there's so many aspects to how a dog can feel unsafe, that will of course exacerbate their reactivity. So then you suddenly see them either do things at home that they didn't do before, or just be so much quicker to react to things that you already know will trigger a response. And then sometimes it can feel like you are sliding back, right? You made so much progress, and suddenly, why is the dog doing this? But it's just that I have, all these ways that we have to talk about it. Like, it goes into the dog's bucket. Somebody's got a lot on their plate. All this applies to our dogs too. And those of you, you've got the planner or been here, on these talks a lot, about our chase approach. That's the reason why we need to look at, our dog's behavior, our dog's life, right? In a whole, as a whole picture, like all the relationships, our relationship, the family relationship, everything that happens, the environment, their health, all the confidence, that if the dog doesn't feel safe, they can't be confident. I mean, everything plays into it. It's really, really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, here's a question.
Yeah, Kirsten's got a lot of stress in their household. Ramsey really picked up on the stress, and you can see a behavior change. Exactly, and that's exactly what happened with Dash last week. Louise who comes just down the road from me. She's very exciting. Feels like the weight of the world is on her shoulders. Yeah. I hear you. 100% hear you.
And then Allison's got a question about positive and negative arousal. Does this mean if there has been a negative event, that rather than providing your dog with positive arousal, like a fun walk, with the intention of cheering them up, that it would be better to take them home for time out and reset? It depends. I would say it really depends. So you know your dog. So the reason why I'm saying this depends is because with a dog that really likes to play and tug and so on, like my Stevie, now she's quite happy to tug anywhere. I've never had a dog like that. Normally they're good tuggers, but if they're a bit worried about something, they're like, and if we have potentially difficult encounter on our walk, then we work through it at a distance. There's no overreaction though. Okay, but she's like, oh, I'm a bit worried, and I maybe want to walk away from them. This was not scary or something. I can see that. So if I say there's no overreaction, she doesn't bark and lunge, right? But she might like, ooh, Anyway, then we tug, and that change of the dog's physical state really helps them not book what happened before, work through what just happened and not book this as like, oh, I'm traumatized. But if the dog has a really bad event, they might need to go home and just like sleep.
Here's the way I see it. Yeah, because I think you're absolutely right. And I think part of it is because of that emotional state and movement connection. So if you try to go from having your dog who's been super duper stressed and excited and and all that kind of stuff, and then you immediately try to get them into a really calm state, that can be really hard for them. And it can lead to some frustration. And it can also lead to a little bit of anxiety, because if you just bring that arousal level down without changing, as Barbara said, the sort of how they're feeling bit from bad to good, you end up with a slight bit of just like worry. The dog's just kind of worried. And you get that thing. And I always give this kind of analogy of when I'm really annoyed about something and I'm really wound up about it, and then someone comes over, just calm down. I actually want to punch them in the face because I'm up here and they're talking to me as if I'm down here and I'm not. What they need to do, and what we need to do sometimes with our dogs, is actually, in terms of where they're at, meet them where they're at. With some dogs, can we change their kind of outlook, like Barbara said, by doing something positive, and then we can bring them down. Or if you have a dog that needs to calm down quickly, so somebody like a Dash, for example. So for him, I would still do some movement. I would do things that involved getting him moving, so that I was meeting where he was at, and then I'd start bringing it down slowly. So I do something positive. So he's not a tugger, as we know, he's the worst tugger in the world. But he loves playing, chasing games with food and that kind of thing. So that's what we do. We do that, and then we do a little bit of walking around, and then we do a couple of little tricks. So we're just bringing things down gradually, and then we do some chill stuff.
It really depends. The thing is also, if the dog just had a stressful episode, so I'm thinking of Falcon, right?
Yeah.
If I take him then for a walk, and then he suddenly sees something, he might overreact to that because he's already stressed.
Yes.
Or if I take him into the dunes and say, okay, let's just let him run, we have a nice off leash, it's fairly safe and everything, but that is then likely going to be the day where he goes and chases the birds and disappears over the horizon and comes back 5 minutes later, and then I'm a nervous wreck, right? So it really depends what your dog finds positive and how much you can control what is going to happen to your dog.
But notice, with both of what we've said, for both of us, it's all been us doing something with the dog and not exposing them to things that might be triggering. So I probably wouldn't go for a walk unless I was certain there wasn't going to be another dog, because that could just then escalate again. So I probably want to do something else.
Shut up. She says she's got it.
Right, we'll shut up then. Do you know what we need, Barbara? What we need right now?
Yeah, so she says it's feeling where dog is at emotionally, psychologically, physically, and it's controlled. Yeah, totally, totally. So
Perfect.
so
Perfect.
supporting.
Sorry, we get
Yeah,
carried away.
yeah.
We need some more fruit questions, Barbara.
Ooh, food questions.
I
I'm sure.
know.
I'm
I
sure
feel
we
like my
want to.
vitamin C is lacking on this live at the moment.
Okay, well, here's something. Um, oh. Okay, I don't have a fruit question. I have an open question. Is that okay?
You can have a different sort of question then, yeah.
What I wanted to know is how people prepare themselves emotionally. So what do you do to be better prepared emotionally before a difficult situation that you have, before a walk, you're not quite sure, there's this new environment, maybe my dog reacts, or if you have to go and take them somewhere where you feel that could be exposure to triggers. Something that's challenging. So what do you do? How do you prepare yourself?
Or do you just take a big deep breath and go?
I feel that I'm not sure. I mean, sometimes I do. I might just chant. Being a Buddhist, I might make some extra time
Yeah, you do that quite a lot.
for that. But often, and then preparing, being really prepared. So wearing the right kind of clothes, having the goodies, knowing, thinking about what could go wrong and what will I do if that happens. So, things like that others mentioned before, like having exits, having a strategy. I'm a bit of a controller, so
Louise
anticipating.
practices breath and mindfulness and goes for a long walk first, which is,
Brilliant.
great. I don't, I'll be honest, because I never feel like I've got enough time and I should probably make enough time. But I do what you're saying, Barbara. I sort of rehearse what I'm going to do so I feel like I'm in control of the situation if it does happen. I come up with a plan and I go through in my head. This is exactly what I do actually now thinking about it. I'll go through my head where I'm going to go and I map out where things, when I can see far enough so I can see if there might be an issue and then I can turn around, or where there are any corners or anything like that. I map that out. How am I going to position myself? What am I going to do? It just makes me feel like I know what I'm doing. And then things aren't such a surprise.
Totally. So there are some really good things in the
There are. Oh, look.
I love Barrett's. I listen to you guys and learn that it is okay. I like this. Listen to us, yes. Just checking. I listen to you and I learned that it is okay to have a reaction, then I don't have to react. Exactly. Knowing that it's okay often
Yeah.
it's all the air out. And then LG says, yeah, LG is also all about the plan. Plan, have exit strategies, the right equipment, high value treats, long line, gentle leader in my pocket, tug in my other pocket, and a reminder that just leaving the house is a win. Fast that.
I think actually that's a really good point that leaving the house is a win. Because sometimes the other thing that can help is giving yourself permission that if you think your dog is starting to get stressed, it's okay to turn around and come home. Giving yourself an exit strategy in and out.
Yeah.
And that can really, really help because you don't feel like, because sometimes we get so stubborn, don't we? Just plow on regardless.
Totally. Alison says, imagine all scenarios, have plans, agree what going to do with husband. Yeah, it's good having a partner in support, right? Simplify
Really
what I
does.
can, eliminate any unnecessary complications, calm Tess down as much as I can, avoid any unnecessary stress for her. Yeah, I like that. And I like that all these things about simplifying.
Totally. Definitely.
Iris says with us it's vets visits. Yes, what a good.
You get that, don't you? Massively.
I allow extra time getting there. We walk rather than take the car. I will book a longer session. I take special treats and arrive dead on time. So we go straight through rather than sit in the waiting room. I never sit in the waiting room. Although now I
You
wouldn't have
stay in
a
your
problem.
do you stay in your car?
Yeah, we're also quite fortunate that yeah, I go in without the dog and I check where they're at. And if somebody else is I mean, with Nawa, he's not, his problem isn't the other dogs in the waiting room, right? His problem is the vet. But I don't want to unnecessary, you know, that's the thing. I don't need him to be like, wow, I'm feeling insecure because we're at the vet. Wow, there's a lot of arousal that then comes, but
Yeah.
I'm happy to see the people. He doesn't look upset when you take him in, and he hops on the scale, and I can muzzle him, and he's like, okay, I'm going to muzzle whatever, you know, want to see him. He's super friendly, but this is also this arousal is also part of his coping or the way he reacts to stressful situations, right? He's channeling his inner golden. So yeah, so I don't have to hang out in the, you know, if there are dogs in the waiting room, I just wait until they're gone and then I go through. So similar to Iris.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely spot on.
And tomorrow is a new vet.
Is
Coming up.
it?
Yeah, it's a completely new because they're doing Cairo on him.
Oh, of course, yes, it's your magical Cairo vet, isn't it?
Yeah, so anyway.
See how that works.
Yeah. Okay, Louise says, listen to a book. Oh, yes, Louise. That's
I love an
my,
audiobook.
that's my go-to for me time and down stress, you know,
Yeah.
de-stress.
That and playing my piano.
Demi says, totally engaging with my dogs and plan ahead as much as possible. Focus on reading them and thinking about their confidence and being much kinder to myself these days and less worried about people's responses. Brilliant, brilliant.
I like the
There
thinking ahead bit. Yeah.
Yeah, sort of a backup, and I don't have to think of how others react, and it's easier to be kind and not shameful. Yeah, I like that.
So what's Iris said, many times we got ready, reached the garden gate, there was no way it would be a good walk, turned around, went back inside. Hear you. I've driven,
That's
Iris.
so wise.
Yeah,
Right?
I've driven before to the beach. Now, as Louise will tell you, where we live, it's about as far from the beach as you can get. So the nearest one was about an hour and hour and 3/4, something like that drive. So it's a little drive. So I took the dogs there. This was a few years ago now. And I'm sort of driving to the car park, there's people with dogs, and they started barking at the dogs out of the car, and they never do that. And I'm just thinking, this is going to go horribly wrong. So I turned the car around and we came home. It just they weren't in the right space to do it, so we didn't do it. It was hard though because I love going to the beach.
Yeah.
LJ Wise books the first spot after the vet's lunch break, so they're alone in the waiting room. Get there early and take a sniffy walk first. We've got quite a few vets at our vet practice, so they all have lunch at different times, which is a little bit irritating.
Yeah, well, then do the first appointment in the morning.
Yeah, yeah, good thinking. Good
That's
thinking.
what I'm doing tomorrow. Cool. Okay, so now here's, do we have time for one more? No, we're almost through, but
Let's do one more.
so here's, I was going to ask how you think your own mindset, what that has to do with how your dog behaves. But I think we all know that our mindset plays a big role, and we often talk about that. So my question now is, this is another fruit question.
Yes.
I want to know, do you guys know how to change your mindset? Strawberry for yes, coconut for no. Do you know how to change your mindset? Are we getting food?
Just waiting. There's always that delay, isn't there? I'm just reading a lover. Ah, yes. LJ's put strawberry. She focuses on gratitude. Yes. Patricia, not always, because I am stubborn. I love your honesty. It's pretty brutal though, Patricia.
Ellison, coconut. Okay.
In the
Demi
middle.
says yes, but knowing is one thing, doing is another.
Yes.
True. And
Very
Barrett.
yes. I forget. Yeah.
And then Patricia put a nice long one in here. Seriously, a group like this is good for us guardians to learn responses. We aren't robots and will probably fail sometimes, but the dogs are better at forgiving us than we are ourselves. Having exit strategies, knowing we can abort the mission, and practicing keeping calm for our pups is just that, practice. It's a tool we continually hone. And then there's Julia and Barbara when we need them. Thank you, Patricia. But you are totally right. Things are mindset is a bit like a muscle, hey? You need
Yeah.
to really
Maybe we should do a little workshop on mindset. Because I've done those before from my previous life. I did a lot of work on mindset, so maybe that's something we could do.
That's an interesting one, yeah.
What do you reckon? Would you like? Should we do a workshop on mindset?
Would you come?
Would you come? Yeah.
Give us a pineapple if you'd come.
Yeah.
Hearts. Lots of hearts. Iris says it's work in progress.
Louise will
All
come.
sorts of emojis. Some of them are sad and angry. This is really weird.
Is that up there? I haven't got any of that.
Mindset. No, they just like came up. And here, there is a pineapple. Okay, so
Oh,
guys,
great.
even if you watch this on the replay, let us know if you're interested in.
Yeah, because it would be a bit of work to put something together, but
So
I
we
think
can
it's
put a-
doable.
Yeah,
Maybe in the new year.
a webinar or something.
Do a little webinar.
Yeah, cool. Lots of pineapples from Kirsten, Demi. Yeah.
No, I'd actually really like to do that. I think that'd be fun.
Mm. Mm. Super. Awesome. You guys are wonderful. Okay. Now have those of you who posted strawberries
Which strawberries, Barbara? I'm
the
totally
mindset
lost in the fruit
to the
salad.
mindset question. So those
Yes,
of you
okay.
who know how to change your mindset, have you tried changing your mindset specifically, with a purpose, and then to see if it affects your dog's behavior? So yes is a watermelon, banana for nose. Have you ever tried changing your mindset to see if it affects your dog's behavior? I have. Come to think of it, I actually have. Because the thing with Falcon is, and his guardian, I think there's an element of resource guarding in this herding behavior with Noah, and it has seriously improved when I decided whether or not it's true. I treat it like resource guarding. And the number one thing with a resource guarder is that if he's already feeling that his resource is scarce, right, we have to make him feel more confident. We can't just take it away, you know what I mean? So so now when I see in those situations, or when he does it, instead of oh, this is an unwanted behavior, and telling him like, hey, this is not appropriate, go back to your spot or leave him alone or whatever, I know, just support him. I throw cookies. he gets cookies, now I get cookies. Both of them feel better in the moment. So this whole reframe, and my mindset is not on how can I teach him not to do this, but how can I make him feel better? And I get far less. I mean, I should be properly journaling this so I could give you the clear data, but it's definitely reduced. Big. Yeah. So what are we getting? Anybody?
Okay, tricky. We got some watermelons. We got a banana and lots of watermelons from Iris.
Nice. So
Barrett
those
saying
of you,
reactivity isn't consistent. Oh, that's so difficult to deal with, isn't it? When you don't know what you're going to get.
yeah, it is. Oh, then it's just but so this is where journaling really kicks in. Oh, Demi says, I love that. Not how can I teach him not to do this, but how can I make him feel better?
But that's the
Change
crux of everything, Demi. You've
Yeah,
got
really.
that's exactly it. That's spot on.
But you see, I didn't read because we get so focused on the thing that we hate because of how it makes us feel. I mean, the dog feel, how it makes us feel. In this case, my other dog that I adore and who's already not in a good place, right? And he gets all this stress. And then Falky, like driving him away from me. I still struggle with this a bit because, I want know how close. But he's lying right here. And Falky's under the table over there. And yeah, so it's hard, but because we just keep so focused on the thing that we don't like, and I want this to change, and how can I change it, and what must I do, and then ta-da, be in fixing mode. But if we just think about, well, the dog's not feeling good, they wouldn't be doing this if they felt good. A dog that feels good does different stuff. I mean, sometimes it's not hurt. Sometimes he just goes over and he pounces in front of him because he wants him to move and play with him, right? That's a different matter. Anyway, there was this thing about the reactivity is not consistent. And what I wanted to say to that, Barrett, is that is really where journaling comes in.
Yeah, really
If
is.
you write down what was she reacting to and when and where, what happened just before, the more information you write, you will find a pattern. Also, you need to write down when she didn't react, because then that gives you the true picture. Like I said earlier, I don't have the data because I'm not writing it down, but that then shows you when you notice, oh, this is the trigger, but the dog's not saying anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Algie says, I've truly felt less stressed since I started getting curious. Journaling, making a plan, it's all just information. Blame or shame isn't helpful. No, totally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Louise says, I've never thought about writing it down. Really good idea. Yeah, and you need both the shit and the gem, right? You need to write down what happens, because otherwise you don't see the progress.
You've got such a way with words. Right, well, we should probably bring this to a close. It's been
Yes.
another great one.
Yes. Super. And I agree, Patricia. I agree. I actually with Stevie might have been the first puppy bear I've been really consistent about. Every time I do something that could potentially lead to something that I mean, every time I've picked her up and she was little, I've given her a treat. Every single time. Simply because it's so easy to, picking up as an interruption, we're taking them away from something that they like, and we often don't see it. We just see the trouble and we just pick them up and move. So if you have a small dog, it can happen quite a bit. So I would exactly what you say, make him feel better. Yeah. All right. Sorry, Julia.
That's perfectly okay.
This was nice. I really enjoyed this
I did
conversation.
too.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being so willing always to
Right.
reply and post fruit.
Post fruit, indeed.
Hey, my guy, it's good. They are barking, but you don't need to respond. So he woke up now because there's barking in the neighborhood, but he didn't bark. And I wouldn't have registered because I'm distracted now. I could hear it, but I didn't register.
Like we were saying before, though, isn't it?
But no, yeah, no, I registered and now I'm just giving him some cookies because he's being such a good boy. But he would have gotten the cookies if he barked too. But it's just, that should go in my notebook. Outside barking, he hears, he gets up, comes to me, lets me know. Not just losing his head.
Super. Right, guys, we will see you next week.
Yeah. Do we have a topic for next week? I think
We do have a topic. I did it today and immediately forgotten what it was.
No, I think we talk about Chase.
Yes, we are. Why dog training alone isn't enough, where we need a more holistic approach. So we've come up with a model. Yay, go us.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful, Demi. Glad. Yeah, please do come again.
Yes, absolutely. Please
All
do.
right. See you in the group. See you next week. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys are phenomenal. We love you to bits.
Always. See you next week. And do post any questions that you've got. Pop them in the group. Put videos of your dogs
Always.
and training your dogs.
Yeah.
Let's get the group absolutely buzzing. So, yeah, and we'll see you next week.